Hello Most Amazing Top 10ers, my name is Danny Burr, you can follow me on Instagram down there, and this is Most Amazing Top 10. It's a channel where we take all kinds of weird and wonderful things from all around the world and put them into a nice little top 10 list so you guys don't have to. And today, I'm very excited to present to you the top 10 facts about making a murderer. Now this is a Netflix show that has blown up all over the world. Everywhere I look online, people seem to be talking about it, and I don't blame them. I watched the first episode last week, and I'd watched all 10 episodes by the next day. It is so addictive. But before we get into that, I want to hear from you guys. What is the most addictive TV show you've ever watched? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't seen Making a Murderer yet, it might become your number one. It's a real life documentary that chronicles the story of Stephen Avery, a man wrongly convicted and sent to prison for 18 years for a crime he didn't commit, only to be released from prison and be charged with the rape and murder of 25-year-old Teresa Holbach. But once you dive into this tale, you'll find that there's another side to the story, and the documentary shows us that all kinds of strange things happened, from illegally obtained confessions to police planting evidence. So let's jump right into our facts about this thrilling documentary with our number 10 fact, which is the petition for Stephen's release. A petition on the US government site petitions.whitehouse.gov to pardon Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey for their alleged involvement in the murder of Teresa Holbach has reached 127,000 signatures. This has surpassed the 100,000 signatures needed for the government to reply, meaning the White House now has to respond. Although this is a clear sign of the public outcry over the events seen in Making a Murderer, some people are saying that the petition won't achieve much other than publicity, because the president can only pardon federal crimes, and this was a crime against the state of Wisconsin. Others are saying that the focus should be shifted away from giving Stephen a pardon and instead just giving him a fair trial. As we move on to our number 9, which is the fact that Anonymous are on Stephen Avery's side. Twitter users linked to the hacktivist group Anonymous have announced they will be helping to bring damning evidence against the police officers accused of planting evidence against Stephen Avery. These users have been digging up all kinds of information, including apparent phone records that show conversations between police officers about them planting evidence. The Twitter account @0hour1 has stated that it will continue to release more evidence to support Anonymous' stance that Stephen Avery's trial was a miscarriage of justice, and there has been a lot of cover-ups. Followers of this account are waiting to see if this evidence that's apparently coming out is as important as they say it is, but in the meantime, we're going to talk about our number 8, which is the fact that this documentary was made by 2 student filmmakers. Making a Murderer was started in 2005 when 2 Columbia University students, Laura Ricciardi and Moira DeMoss, were planning their individual thesis work. After coming across an article in the New York Times of Stephen Avery's release from prison and the new charges against him, the pair visited Manitowoc, Wisconsin to see if there was actually a story. Well, they certainly found one, because as they arrived, the story of Stephen Avery's new charges was just picking up. They also said that their status as student filmmakers helped give them access to people and places that normally filmmakers aren't really allowed to go into. Wow, that is going to be one school project that is very hard to beat, especially when you take a look at its IMDb rank, which is our fact at number 7. The Internet Movie Database, or IMDb for short, is the largest online collection of information relating to films, television programs, and video games. It has 64 million users who help to review and rate the millions of productions on the site. In its TV show category, it ranks the likes of Breaking Bad at number 3 and Game of Thrones at number 4, but if you scroll down the list to number 18, you'll find Making a Murderer. It's only been 3 weeks since it's released, and already this documentary is in the top 20 TV shows of all time on this site. Quite simply, I think that's an astonishing achievement for the makers of this documentary, and also the fact that at number 6, it took 10 years to make this thing. As I mentioned before, Laura and Moira began working on the show as the story gained traction back in 2005, but the documentary wasn't released on Netflix until 2015, a whole decade later. During that time, the pair filmed over 700 hours of footage. This was eventually whittled down to the 10 one-hour episodes we see in the show. If you watch these 700 hours of raw footage they had back to back without any break, it would take you about a month. And when you put it like that, I'm kind of amazed it didn't take 20 years to make it. Alright guys, moving on with this murder mystery now. Our fact at number 5 is that the evidence in the case is being fiercely debated online. Although many people who have watched the documentary have been quick to profess Stephen Avery's innocence, others have been providing evidence that suggests he is in fact guilty. The website newsmax.com gives an interesting rundown of 9 examples, including forensic evidence linking the bullet that killed Teresa Halbach with Stephen's gun. There are also alleged testimonies from various people who talk about Stephen's violent past, including one of his former inmates who said that Stephen spoke to him about building a torture device to torture and kill women. But I don't think this is evidence either for or against Stephen's innocence, but I do think it's proof that there should be a retrial, because clearly a lot of the facts on both sides have been overlooked. And if Stephen does get a retrial, he might be in luck, because our fact at number 4 is that the lawyers who represented him in the documentary might come back to defend him once more. Dean Strang and Jerry Butin became the unwitting heroes of the documentary after putting up a powerful, thorough, and at times emotional defense for Steven Avery. Their candid interviews with the documentary makers outside of the courtroom helped give viewers a real insight into their personal attachment to the case. Dean Strang spoke to the Daily Beast about all the factors involved in the trial that he thought made it totally unfair for Steven. He went on to say that they have both been in contact with Steven and that, if he wanted them to, they would be open to taking on Steven's case, adding that money wasn't in the equation for them, only what is best for Steven. Now, the archetypal good guys like the 2 lawyers in this and the bad guy Kratz, they've got the entire internet buzzing, and our fact number 3 is that the whole show has spawned a lot of memes. If you take a look at the subreddit for Making a Murderer, you will see a lot of serious posts debating the documentary, but also a lot of memes made by viewers of the show. They tend to be funny and witty insights that poke holes in the prosecution case against Steven and the entire investigation. This is one of my favourites, some fangirl art for Dean Strang and Jerry Butin. Have they actually managed to make law sexy? I guess humour is an easy thing to fall back on when you feel powerless, but fear not, because at number 2, it's the fact that the Innocence Project has returned. The Wisconsin Innocence Project was the group who helped Steven clear his previous rape conviction, for which he spent 18 years behind bars. Although they were initially quick to distance themselves from helping Steven, recent reports that jurors were pressured and even bullied into a guilty vote have made them reconsider their position. If this turns out to be true, the Innocence Project have said they will look into ways of funding the Avery family's legal battle. Events like this really show how the documentary has helped put a spotlight on Steven's bid for freedom. But now it's time for a quick recap of our Making a Murderer facts. We've heard about the petition, the memes, and how long it took to make, but our number 1 fact is that Making a Murderer isn't finished for good. If you found yourself craving for more episodes of the show, then you might just be in luck. Laura and Moira told Mashable.com that they haven't stopped filming, even though the documentary has been released. Moira said, "We are continuing to document the story. We still speak to Steven, we're still recording calls with him. In a way, we're still in production." The new series is expected to cover Steven's fight for freedom, and with the whole world talking about his story at the moment, I think there's a lot more left to be said. I just hope it doesn't take another 10 years to make. Well, if it does, I guess I'll be back for a part 2. But in the meantime, guys, thanks very much for watching Most Amazing Top 10. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with all the great content we have on this channel, because we're bashing them out every single day for you now. There's 2 videos floating over there if you want to give them a click. In the meantime, guys, my name's Danny Burt. You can follow me on Instagram somewhere down there. Thanks for watching Most Amazing Top 10, and I'll see you very soon.